morning, world. Do you watch porn?
I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. All right. Cedric, can you put that away just for a little bit?
I was reading comments.
Do you need this?
No, I'm good. We'll just leave that there. Okay.
All right, guys. What we're going to talk about today is, are you prepared?
Like Brian says, are you prepared? Do you have enough food, water, and other essentials to get you through tough times? If not, check out My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's #1 preparedness company, and they've served millions of American families just like yours. Right now, you can save 25% off their popular 4-week emergency food kit, which will keep you well fed for 4 weeks worth of breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks, totaling over 2,000 calories a day. This food stays fresh for up to 25 years in proper storage, so it will be there when you need it. In fact, you may need it a lot sooner than that.
So don't wait. Go to www.preparewithcedricandbrian.com. That's www.preparewithcedricandbrian.com. All right, I know that's a long leader into.
I was actually reading an article just to be.
I used to get Playboy for the articles.
Right. Oh my goodness.
So today we're going to kind of talk in. We watched this episode of, I can't remember what it was on. Oh, it was on this English guy, Joseph something Joe. Anyways, I'll put it in the link. And he was talking about Andrew Tate and how he's being vilified.
Yes.
You know, love him or hate him. You know, I really don't have an opinion on it.
Free Andrew Tate. Free Andrew Tate.
He's he's controversial. It's not the way I would handle things, but the video goes on and shows that Andrew Tate is a symptom of our society because of what we've done with men.
Remember, and for some of you old heads out there, and I know according to Stanford, we can't say that word anymore, but I'm going to say it anyway. Old heads like us, you remember the talk show host Tom Leykis?
Yeah.
He seems like a lighter version of Tom Leykis. He's not really over the top and overboard for Tom Leykis to get viewers to listen, but he kind of has that over the board masculinity approach when it comes to speaking.
Yeah. And so he is an extreme, but he's not that as far as the left tries to paint him. You know, he's a celebrity. So, you know, he wants clicks just like we do.
Absolutely.
But then you take a mild-mannered guy like Jordan Peterson, who, again, speaks to everybody, but it seems that he resonates with men. And he uses he doesn't use the term, but basically what comes to mind is terms like, you know, you need to man up, stuff that you aren't supposed to say anymore, according to Stanford. But basically just making sure that you do the right thing and understanding that men and women are different.
Absolutely, and that's okay.
And us just saying that obviously puts us in a camp.
But that's okay. But you and I came from a different generation where that was okay. I don't know if you guys saw the video or not, where we played a clip from a Jordan Peterson interview where the young lady sitting across from him said, and I'm going to paraphrase this, it's been said that you said it's okay for boys to be masculine. Yeah. And Jordan Peterson basically said, it's more than okay, it's necessary. Yeah. Because if we didn't have men, we need people who are going to, and then this is not demeaning women by any stretch of the imagination, but we need men who are on the power lines. Not saying that women can't do it, but there are certain things that men are just wired to do.
Cedric. Stop apologizing.
I know, okay. There's certain things that men are wired to do.
We live in a society now that whenever you say something that has to do with masculinity, you feel like you have to apologize. And that's, luckily we're, like you said, we're old. We're old enough where it doesn't phase us. But you know what? There's 10, 15, 20, 30-year-olds out there that they've been raised with this, and they're told that if they're masculine, it's toxic. So you know that term, toxic masculinity, which is ridiculous. And I'll give you stats to show it. And Cedric has talked about these stats. Places like the United States, and I think the UK is similar, we have a 23% of our children are raised without two parents. 23%. Yes. India and China are like 2 and 3%. The average for the world is 7%. So we're doing something wrong in the West, especially places like the United States, where kids are not raised mainly with fathers. Not saying that mothers don't do a great job, and in some cases they do a better job, but on average, again, you take statistics, you got to take the average. 23%, and what do we have here? We have the highest incarceration rates for men, and I know black men, but guess who has the highest rates of fatherless homes? Black men.
Black men. Yeah.
And Cedric's talked about before. There is a correlation, and I know people want to deny it all the time, and they want to, especially the left, because the whole thing is breaking up the nuclear family. There is problems with that, and there is consequences, and we are seeing the consequences, again, with the shootings, with the gang violence. Abortion rates in this country are through the roof. And again, we have the highest rate of single-family homes. Right. There's got to be a correlation.
Good, bad, or indifferent. And I think our last song with the High Res, he made a comment about men are out. They've either left the home entirely or they're working 90, 100 hours a week, which in turn now women have to take on that role. And I know there's some single women out there who hate that phrase of, well, you're taking on both roles, man of husband and wife or mother and father. I know you hate that comment, but and like Brian was saying earlier, that's creating a lot of latchkey kids. Mm-hmm. And as far as the gangs are concerned, you guys have heard this before, when boys go out and they're not getting that love from a mother and father in the home, they will go out and they will create that family. And sometimes that family is found in the gangs. So the gang becomes your family. And we all know more often than not, the men in those types of environments, they're not the type of men that you want to emulate, the type of men that you want to be like. Growing up as a boy reading comic books, you saw men, you saw Superman, you saw a Batman, you saw all these men, but they were our definition of men.
They're today's standard, they're toxic masculinity men, which is the reason why now you have Batman. He's kind of like this simpy, wimpy guy now. That's not the Batman we grew up with. Superman now, Superman's son is now bisexual. I mean, we're getting rid of any form of masculinity out there, and it's not just raising boys. With females, the rate of obesity now in females is through the roof. Mm-hmm. Abortion rates are through the roof because nobody's being taught. And this is where the father comes in, because the father usually has a different bond with the daughter than the mother does. And they're the ones who say, you know what, you better bring that date of yours home so I can see if he's good enough for you. And that doesn't happen anymore. And now these girls are going out and they look at things like Megan Thee Stallion and these songs, and they're told that no, just shake your ass in front of people and get it when you can. I mean, that does not raise healthy societies, and the proof is in the pudding. The statistics tell it. You look at countries where there is still the nuclear family and the role models of the mother and father in those Asian countries that I just mentioned, and they're a much healthier society. And they don't have to police it. It's just healthier on its own.
And it was so awesome. Just last night, we're filming this on Monday, on Martin Luther King's birthday.
That's right.
Just last night, we had a karaoke party over here at Brian's house, and his niece brought a young man that she wanted everyone to meet. And we don't do that anymore. We didn't put him through the ringer too bad. We did play a little prank on him, which he was a good kid about it, good egg about it.
He smiled.
But we put him through the ringer, and there was one time, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I put one of Brian's daughter's boyfriends to the ringer to the point
hilarious.
Where I think he wet himself a little bit. But
he claimed he was at the wrong house. He was so scared. He pulled a bad boy stunt on him.
You guys saw the bad boy stunt. That's what we did. But Brian raised his dog like, bring a guy around, let me meet him, let me shake his hand, and then we'll go from there. But we're talking about manning up, being a man, and like Brian was saying earlier, sometimes those phrases are obsolete now. You can't say that. We don't want you to say that, and let's just erase men from our culture.
And we've also erased the other term, being ladylike. If you're being ladylike, then the women's livers or the feminists will be like, you can't use terms like that. What does ladylike mean? You putting us under your thumb? It's like, no, men and women are different. I hate to tell all those people out there that think we're all the same or that we can interchange constantly. That's not reality, and we're in a big experiment right now. But why does this tie into pornography? Because we talked about the rates of pornography are skyrocketing right now, and it goes to, this is a symptom of what's been going on with the demasculation and saying that everybody's the same. So boys now, for one, they're afraid to step out, right? They're afraid to approach a woman now because, the whole Me Too thing. It's like if they make a pass at a woman, now it's considered sexual harassment,
Right.
So what are their alternatives? They've got two things. They've got really easy access to pornography. I mean, you just pick up the phone and Pornhub is on there for free. Not that I know what Pornhub is.
You're sharing too much.
And you've got boys that are afraid to talk to women for various reasons, and they're being told that you can't be masculine. So what do? They go in their rooms, they grab their box of tissue and...
Put that on my lap. But you hit a good point, because when you and I were younger, and again, at the expense of not sounding like a prude, we had to find a friend who had a friend whose dad had a stack of Playboys underneath the bed.
Yeah.
But now, like you said, you pick up the computer in your pocket and you just go through a few links and bam, there's porn right there for you.
And not only that, things that I didn't even realize existed. And we think about Pornhub. Guess what? I found a link. I don't know if it was one of our subscribers or something. I found a link, and there's basically pornography on Facebook. And I couldn't believe it. I think I showed it to you, and you said, that's on Facebook? I said, yeah, that's on Facebook. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
So it's, I think they put up a disclaimer like, are you 18? Like a 15-year-old will just say, yes. Like the alcohol things. You can't see an alcohol head. Are you 21? Yes. Nobody says
crazy.
No. But, these are all symptoms of society. We've gotten rid of taboos. And because the progressives have said,
we've created new taboos.
Yeah, you shouldn't have those taboos. It's like, no, you need taboos to keep people... It's okay. We looked at porn and we looked at magazines when we were younger, but it was still considered a taboo. So guess what? It wasn't this societal acceptance. It wasn't the norm like we talked about before. When you make these things the norm, they disrupt society. There should be things that you just do in the privacy of your own home.
Well, we're seeing it now, especially in schools, where sexuality has now just been, the fences have been knocked down, and it's okay to have people come dance at your children's school, transgender people or people pretending to be women. And it's just, sex is just thrown in our kids' faces from the books they read, the films they watch. And how dare you as a parent have a say-so on what the schools are showing your kids. And if you do that, you're a toxic parent.
Right. Yeah, and again, the left will tell you that it's good to break down these barriers, but it really isn't. It's like saying, anarchy is good. And I know for all you anarchists that watch this, when I'm using the term anarchy, I'm using it as a free-for-all. We need boundaries. Taboos are boundaries. Doesn't mean that you don't sneak into those boundaries and do things and watch things, but at least there are boundaries. It's my favorite thing, I talk about, he's the Christian. I'm not the Christian in this group, but I hear things all the time from people on the left that always call Christians hypocrites. And I said, it's easy to call somebody hypocrite because you have no standards. Nobody can call you a hypocrite because you have no standards. You need standards. And then, Cedric will tell you, yes, we're Christians, we're flawed, we're human, but at least we have those boundaries that we're supposed to live inside of, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So for somebody to call him a hypocrite, it's like, yeah, you can't call him a hypocrite just because you have no boundaries, and so nobody can call you a hypocrite.
Yeah, because nobody really wants to be accountable. I know your boy, who do we watch? The Fireside Chat?
Oh, Dennis Prager.
Dennis Prager. Mm-hmm. He talks about it all the time, just having standards, having boundaries. Yes. It talked about porn here. It says, since the advent of the internet, porn has skyrocketed to dizzying heights. Pornhub, as Brian mentioned earlier, the world's largest free porn site, received over 33.3 billion site visits.
I have a question for all you
during
people
the
out
year.
There that pay for porn. Why are you paying for it?
That's not the point of this statistic, and you missed it and went over your head.
I got it. But that's why I said two things have happened. We've had the availability of free porn across the world, and a society that tells men that they shouldn't approach women because that's toxic. So you created this environment. And I know there's women out there that watch porn too, but statistically, it is nowhere near the numbers that men watch it.
Yeah, and not only is it destroying the household or marriage or conventional marriage we know it, it says in the long term, pornography seems to create sexual dysfunctions, especially the inability to achieve erection or orgasm with a real life partner. And I love how they put a real life partner, because usually when boys watch porn, they take this person who doesn't exist. I just dropped my phone there. Who doesn't really exist, and now boys think they have this unrealistic view of what a relationship should be, and it should go straight to sex. My daughter's a diehard Friends fan. You remember the sitcom Friends? And there was an episode once where I think Joey and Chandler got a fuzzy version of porn on their TV.
It was when you had to watch it and the lines would go through.
Yeah.
So they would wait till it would clear up for a second.
And it wired them differently because they thought that every interaction with a woman led to sex, and they were disappointed one day, and they were talking about it at the coffee shop where they were all the time. And Chandler said, "You know what happened today?" And Joey's like, "What?" He goes, "This female pizza delivery girl delivered pizza, and she just left." He goes, "Wow, that's crazy. She didn't, nothing happened." He goes, "No, she just did her job and she took off." Yep. So that's what boys think about porn today, and they don't know how to, like Brian said, they don't know how to go up to a woman, find something in common, talk about it. And God forbid you tell a woman, "Hey, you look beautiful today. You look nice. I like that on you." Because if you say that, now the Me Too movement is saying, well, now you're harassing her.
Right. And we're not saying that there shouldn't be magazines and there shouldn't be porn, but we've created a society that these young men are using it as a crutch, and they're not going out into the real world. And again, I'm not making this stuff up. These are stats. Go look up the stats. Some people watch this and they'll think, oh, those two old prudes. But no, that's not what we're thinking. In fact, it can be healthy sometimes, at least in my opinion, where you watch some porn with your wife. And again, they're like everything. There's not always a line between what's good and what's bad, and what's right and what's wrong. Now, there is lines if it's child pornography, things like that. Absolutely. If people are being sold into it, and that's another problem. There's a whole industry where they're basically making slaves out of these girls, and that's a byproduct too of this society. That is one of the negative aspects of it. But if you do it right, it can be something that's not bad. But unfortunately, it is.
Can I share something really quick?
Sure.
No one else is listening.
We like when Cedric shares.
I was out in our old neck of the woods, Costa Mesa, Newport, and I had some time to kill, and I was looking for a birthday card for one of our mutual friends, because we just celebrated his birthday. And so I went to one of those specialty stores to look for a card, and I saw these, I call them apparatuses that women use. And I like to engage people in conversation. So the young lady behind the counter, I said, "Do people actually buy these?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "So if I buy this for my girlfriend, what purpose do I serve?" Because if she buys that, there's no more use for me. I just felt like sharing. I thought it was funny because this thing was like, that's not real.
Now it had a Kickstarter and 5 gears and everything. Oh. But sometimes, when you're tired, you just hand your...
I want to ask you a question. Now, you and I growing up, and I'm seeing it nowadays, especially with mom and dad being out of the house, they don't have time for stuff. In today's homes, you hire a gardener, and in my day, I mow the lawn.
Yeah.
You take your car to the Quick Quack or some other car wash place. I used to wash my parents' car. Me and my dad were talking last Saturday at breakfast how we could have died, how we used to take red bricks from the backyard and put boards, and he would drive the car up, and we would change the oil, and the car could have fell down on us.
Yeah.
And we didn't think, but there are things that the reason boys aren't being boys today is because I don't think they're required to be.
That's part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no requirements put. It's okay to sit in your room all day. It's okay not to engage in sports. It's okay just to lay around.
Part of that's our fault as parents. And not when I'm saying our, I'm not saying our, but our as the general our, is we take the path of least resistance. It's like we know, if we fire the gardener and said, I'm going to have my son mow the lawn, we know that there's going to be, moaning and gnashing of teeth. And so we just I don't want to deal with that. That's a battle I don't want to fight. I'm going to keep the gardener. So part of that is our fault. We, in this modern society, we don't need to do that. So we allow our boys not to learn any of that stuff.
Yeah, I think we've made a huge mistake with that. I mean, and I get it, especially if, and I see a lot of boys who don't have any responsibility. I can see if you're involved in the theater after school or some sports team, but there are a lot of boys who have no responsibilities. It's school in their room, rinse, repeat, and that's it.
And that's why both of us did this as parents, and luckily we didn't get any, fighting on this. Is our kids were all in sports or an activity. So my daughter did gymnastics till she was 12, and then she did golf. My son did every traditional sport you can. I coached him in soccer, basically at the age where they're just picking dandelions,
right,
through baseball, basketball, football, and then he became a swimmer in high school, where I stopped coaching, but that was his thing, and he did that all through high school, and he played his video games, but he had a balance. But like you said, it's the ones where we allow our kids to tell us, I don't want to do that, and then they sit in a room for 5 hours playing video games.
Yeah, well, they have like one task, and I was joking with someone about this. Again, when we were younger, we used to take those heavy metal trash cans that sparked when you drag them. It could have caught a fire and burned us to death. But now these kids, it's giant pieces of Tupperware on wheels, or trash cans, and they just got to roll them out to the street.
Thank God, because the kids are out of the house now, and I'm glad I get to wheel that thing at my age. I don't want to carry a trash can.
But it takes an active to get them to do that. Like, take the trash cans out to the curb. Oh my goodness! And then you would think, like kind of like Yellowstone or 1883, you're asking them to go cut down a tree and forge a dining room table out of it. Yeah. It's like, no, just take the Tupperware bin out to the curb. That's all we're asking you to do.
Or go out and hunt that bear for food, boy.
Right. It's crazy. Well, you guys leave that in the comments. You guys are excellent. Do that. We really appreciate the feedback, because I've always said this before. I love this YouTube platform because it gives us a chance not only to share our views, but to learn from people out there. Lord knows we learned a lot from the Joyner Lucas video.
Hey, we actually had a positive comment on
We've
that.
had a few.
Yeah,
they're scattered in there, but
and for all you haters, we still have way more thumbs ups than we have thumbs down. Even though it's our most thumbs down video, right. The ratio is in our favor.
Okay. But leave it in the comment section. What is your opinion about today's boys? We being too soft on them? Do you believe that the words like man up and be a man, this should be completely obliterated from our lexicon, and we let boys do whatever they want? What is your viewpoint on raising boys to be men?
And what is your viewpoint on porn? That's what we really want to know.
That's what Brian really wants to know to justify what he does in his spare time.
What was that site again?
Pornhub.
Never heard of it.
Pornhub. All right, you guys. I hope your new year is off to a great start. And I'm not even going to say anything about Black History Month coming up. I won't say it.
You're not going to tell everybody that's the shortest month of the year?
No, I'm not going to say it.
You're not going to bitch
I've
about
worn
that
that
like
joke out. I've worn it out. I know I have. All right, you guys. Hope things are going well. Continue to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and continue sharing our channel with everyone you know. Be good to your boys, be good to your girls, and be good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. I'll see you later. Unscripted.
All right. So